is we discuss, will take up revisional powers of the High Court, isn't it? Having completed last time the appellate powers of the Supreme Court, today we'll shift to the revisional powers. So earlier what we dealt so far under section 96, the original appeals, first appeals which are filed either in the district court or in the High Court. Then we dealt under the second appeal under section 100 to the High Court on substantial question of law. Then we also dealt with the appeals to Supreme Court under the provisions of section 109, which should be read along with order 45. Today we'll take up the revisional powers. Now, there's a difference between an appeal and revision. Appeal is nothing but a continuation of the suit. The appellate court has got very vast powers, including power to record evidence, additional evidence, to go into the question of fact and the question of law. But whereas the revisional court under section 115, that is the High Court, under the CPC, revisional powers are given to only to the High Court. Please note that. Whereas under the CRPC, revisional powers are both with the Sessions Court and the High Court under section 397 and 401 CRPC. Don't confuse it here. All civil courts, even district court doesn't have a revisional powers. It is only the High Court which is mentioned under the section 115, and there are no orders analogous to this order. Now, under the revisional jurisdiction, the High Court can only correct jurisdictional errors. What? It cannot go into the question of fact. And even if the question of law is not correctly recorded, the court cannot set aside the same unless there is a jurisdictional error committed. Now, what is the jurisdictional error we come to know? And after the amendment of the year, the recent amendment to section 115, that amendment which was taken place with effect from that is 2002's amendment, the Amendment Act of 1999. The High Court cannot, if the revision can only be entertained when cannot be entertained against interlocutory orders. It is only after the case is totally disposed of, either by way of interim orders or the final evidence. And more or less, and moreover, revision would not lie against those orders which are appealable. Please note that. So it's a very, very narrow powers, exactly, that we will discuss now. If you open your section 115 of the Code of Civil Procedure Code, that will deal with it. Now, in what cases revision is maintainable and in what cases revision is not maintainable, and what are the limited jurisdiction of the High Court, we'll tell you. Now, revision should be filed within 90 days under Article 131 of the Limitation Act. Please note that. Relevant article is Article 131. Under the CPC. Now, under this provision, under section 115, the High Court may call for the record of any case which has been decided by the subordinate court. A court which is subordinate to High Court. Please note that here. Only orders which are passed by the subordinate court, namely the district court in the district area, the civil judge senior division, and the civil judge junior division, or the provincial small cause court in the district area. Now, as regards City of Bombay is concerned, the revision can be invoked, can be filed in the High Court against the orders passed by the City Civil Court Bombay and certain orders passed by the Small Cause Court Bombay. These are the two courts, civil court. Now, you should know that all orders of the small causes court do not come to High Court, because under the Presidency Small Cause Court Act, the Small Causes Court itself has a appellate jurisdiction. Please note that. Under the scheme of the 1882 Act, under the provisions of Section 42 of the Presidency Small Cause Court Act, 42 subclause 4, that court has got revisional powers. Now, another jurisdiction which is in the small causes court is under the Bombay Rent Act, that is Section 33 for filing of the suit. Under Section 34, appeal lies, and under 34(4) revision lies. So rent control matters. Even in those rent control matters tried by the district court in the district area, the district court has got the appellate authority and also the revenue authority. So these are the courts. It's the City Civil Court, Bombay, and the Bombay High Court, the final orders which have been passed. Now let us see that here, and no other court. Now, what are the orders which are revisable? Now, number one, the first clause said that the order from which no appeal lies, the condition precedent there, in order to invoke revisional powers, it must not be an order falling within the ambit of Section 96 of the Code of Civil Procedure, namely first appeal, which first appeal normally lies to the High Court or district court in district area. Nor should be an order falling within the ambit of either under Section 104 or Order 43, mean the interlocutory orders which have been disposed of. We learned that under Order 43, an order of injunction, order appointing receiver, abatement, these are all appealable under Order 43, and also under Section 104, certain orders under Section 35A, not granting leave under 91, 92, the CPC, and an appeal lies to the higher court. Now, revision will not lie against those orders. Whichever specific orders where appeal lies, no revision lies. Now, that means we have narrowed down the revisional powers. Again, prior to the amendment of the CPC, substantially all matters, all interlocutory orders where doesn't appeal lie. For example, an amendment application was rejected by the lower court under Order 6, Rule 17, and no appeal lies. A revision as a matter of court would lie. A revision would lie, and the court would say that yes, it doesn't appeal lies and amendment should be granted. It was being liberally granted. Now, secondly, for example, say under Section 10 of the Code of Civil Procedure, you learned that when there are two suit filed by plaintiff and defendant in respect of the same cause of action in two different courts, we gave the example of Delhi and Bombay. So one of the suit can be stayed. So the order staying or refusing or granting cannot be called interlocutory order because it is not disposing of the suit. So revision will not lie. Now, earlier, prior to the amendment of Section 115, easily the order under Section 10 was assailed under 115. So not now. Now, in what cases I would say that here, now let us see that here. For example, for the purpose here, no appeal lies. Now, under Section 6 of the Specific Relief Act, you learn that a person who has been dispossessed without his consent can file a suit, summary suit under Section 6. Isn't it? Now, subsection 3 of Section 3 tells you no appeal lies. Mansi, please, can you open this? Section 6 of the Specific Relief Act. Section 6. Yeah. Now, Section 6, you all know that. I don't have to read it. All of you know very well that under this provision, Section 6 clearly says that a suit by a person dispossessed of immovable property. Now, Clause 1 tells you a suit would lie. Subclause 2, suit should be brought within 6 months' time. it will not lie against government. Subclause 3 says, no appeal shall lie from any order or decree passed in the suit under this section. So this is one section where you can come before the revisional court, provided the revisional court has acted not judicially and has not followed the procedure prescribed for conducting trial under section 6. Not all orders are revisable. Please note that here. So the amendment of the section 115 says that here it should have been finally disposed of or other proceeding. So you cannot go when an order of injunction under section 6, suppose you have filed a suit for specific performance. You have filed a suit for restoration of possession having been dismissed under section 6. Now, during the pendency of a suit, it is a normal practice that we take out application for appointment of a receiver or an injunction. The trial court may refuse your order of injunction, even receiver. Now, against the order refusing order of injunction, receiver, no appeal lies under section 6. Now, only remedy is section 115 revision lie. Now, 115 says now the proviso. Now, please see the proviso. The High Court shall not under this section vary or reverse an order made or deciding the issue in the course of the suit, other proceeding, except order if it had been made in favor of a party applying in revision would have finally disposed of a suit or proceeding. Now, a notice of motion or an application for injunction or receiver does not dispose of the suit. So that means even revisional jurisdiction cannot be invoked. You don't have a remedy. Neither appeal can be filed nor revision can be filed. You cannot come to the High Court. Maybe you have some chance, some window is open to you when you go to the High Court under Article 227 of the Constitution of India, that is a supervisory power of the High Court, which are little more wider powers in comparison to the revisional remedy. Please note that. So it doesn't mean in the eyes of law, there is no appeal lies, no revision lies, you are totally barred. So as a young lawyer, you should be aware of the provisions of Article 227, because the order is passed by City Civil Court, Bombay, or a district court rejecting your application for injunction or appointment of receiver, whatever may be. So no appeal lies against that order under section 6. The bar. So and no revision can also lie because the suit is not disposed of. Suit is pending. So you may take a chance before the High Court under Article 227, but revision you cannot approach. You can only approach the revisional court in the section 6 matter, provided your suit has been totally disposed of, namely in a summary suit under section 6 of the Specific Relief Act. You know that here the written statement will be filed. The same procedure applies. There is a list of document, witnesses, examination, chief cross-examination, all this take place. It is only when finally the suit is disposed of by the court of law, then you may approach the High Court on the ground that the trial court has not followed the procedure prescribed for conducting the suit. Or the procedure is, just because the procedure is incorrect, or you may be, suppose you may say that I was not allowed to cross-examine the witnesses. It's a serious ground. If you're not allowed to cross-examine the ground, it's a material irregularity. It is a material irregularity. I come to know on that point. Now, in one of the recent matters which went to Supreme Court, under section 6 of the Specific Relief Act, the bench of Justice Rohinton Nariman had an occasion to discuss the matter. Now, in a suit under section 6, an application was made to the trial court by the plaintiff for an order of injunction that he is in possession, he should be put back into possession. He made an application for a mandatory injunction following Supreme Court judgment in Dorop Kawasji Warden's case, that is 1990 Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court said under Section 44 of the Transfer of Property Act, a joint dwelling house cannot be sold by one of the co-parceners by inducting strangers. So when a stranger was inducted in the Dorabji's case, the Supreme Court said that the stranger must be evicted. He has no right to remain. So following that guidelines, the plaintiff took a chance before the trial court that under section 6 of the specific legal act that I have been dispossessed, that I should be put back into possession, grant me mandatory injunction pending the hearing and final disposal of the suit. The trial court rejected the application, prima facie holding that the defendant has shown his possession. It is not clear whether the plaintiff was in possession. So there is a doubt as regard the finding, as regard the possession of the plaintiff. Then an appeal was filed because under the provisions of Order 43, you know that refusal to grant an order of injunction, appealable order. So naturally, revision will not lie. So the gentleman, the plaintiff who lost the case, he went to the appellate court with his prayer under Order 43 read with Section 104. So the appellate court rejected the application. So there's a concurrent finding of rejection against him in that regard. Then he took a chance. That is, after having lost the case in the district court, which is appellate court, he filed an appeal before the revision before the Punjab and Haryana High Court, which was the matter, High Court concern. I'm sorry, Himachal High Court, HP, the matter. The High Court, fortunately for him, granted an order of injunction. That is following the principle under Section 115 and invoking that, yes, under provisions of Section 6, appeal doesn't lie, a revision I can entertain. But the learned judge, this learned single judge of the Himachal High Court probably has not taken into consideration the subsequent amendment to the CPC 115 that revision should not be entertained against interlocutory orders which are not disposed of the suit. The suit is pending. So the matter is now reported in 2019 16 SCC 678. Mansi, if you can open, that is Tek Singh versus TEK, Tek Singh versus Shashi Verma. Tek Singh, TEK, Tek Singh versus Shashi Verma. This is the latest judgment where the bench of Justice Nariman and Justice Vinit Saran have been pleased to pass the order holding that what is the finding? Held without dealing with any aspects set out by the appellate court. High Court seems to have swayed by the fact that a police complaint has been filed in which possession was acquiescent. Every legal canon has been thrown to the winds by the impugned judgment. Judgment. Then he said that here, 1999 amendment of CPC added to Proviso 115, which shows that after 1999, revisional petition filed under 115 are not maintainable against interlocutory orders. Please underline this. This wording is there. Mansi, please take this out. This is the paragraph number 6 to 10. 6 to 10 it is mentioned. In paragraph number 5, they are dealt with the provisions of section 115. Paragraph number 6, kindly see that. Even otherwise, it is well settled that revisional jurisdiction under 115 is to be exercised to correct jurisdictional error only. This is well settled in DLF Housing and Construction Private Limited. This judgment I will read it for you and let you know. This is the finding given here. Then that is what the Supreme Court has opined very strongly, that every legal by holding that here, every legal canon has been thrown to wind by the impugned judgment. Remove this word. This you will find it. Yes. That is very unfortunate. Very strongly the Supreme Court. So that means to show that here you cannot come to the, you cannot file a revision application under 115 presently after the amendment against interlocutory orders unless you have been, unless the entire suit is disposed of. Please note that. Just because your application for injunction receiver is dismissed, you cannot come as a matter of course. Earlier you used to come, not now. Now the Supreme Court has made a reference to one judgment, that is the DLF judgment, which I will briefly go to the judgment for you. That now that is judgment. Please kindly see that here. AIR 1971 Supreme Court, page number 2324. That is DLF Housing versus Swarup Singh. You got it? The judgment rendered by the bench of Justice Vaidyanathan and Justice Dua. Now, this is a case. This is a case where Justice Rohinton's bench has been pleased to invoke. In this matter, the facts of the case are that here there was an agreement of sale between the plaintiff and defendant for sale of certain land under an unregistered agreement. Now, during the when the contract was in force, the government acquired certain land by issuing notification under Section 4 of the Land Acquisition Act, subsequently followed by a notification under Section 6 of the Land Acquisition Act. You know that when acquisition takes place, the government takes over the land, the collector fixes the compensation, and reference is made to the district court. Now, in the district court, when the reference was made, at that stage, the plaintiff filed a suit for specific performance of a contract of the agreement, because only part of the land was taken by the government, part of the land was still remaining. So, in the suit for specific performance in the district court, which was filed by the plaintiff, he took out an application that the reference which has been filed under the Land Acquisition Act may kindly be stayed, because the issues involved in the reference as well as in the present suit are same, parties are same, and it can be adjudicated by leading evidence. So the district court was pleased to grant an injunction, yes, staying the reference proceedings, reference proceeding under the Land Acquisition Act. Then against this order, the defendant filed a revision application before the High Court under 115 of the CPC. Now, because the High Court entertained the revision application. Please note that. Now, this is a prior to the amendment. After the High Court, after admitting the revision application, also disposed it of by passing an order that here, as regard the remaining part of the land, there should be an injunction, and so far as the amount is concerned, agreed amount should be paid over to the owner. That was the final order passed by the court. Then the High Court said that here, in the meanwhile, reference can go on in the matter. So as regard the remaining money is concerned, the reference can go on, undertaking recorded. Then the trial court, that is the district court, which take up the matter here, and understood the order as the amount not to be paid over to the plaintiff, the owner of the property defendant, till the reference is disposed of. Now, earlier stay has been lifted. So the district court passed an order stating that, to my understanding, the order is that here, the reference can go on, but money can be paid over after the reference is over. Then what happened? The plaintiff, the original plaintiff in the suit, being agreed by the order of the district court, once again moved the revisional court under section 151, read with section 141 CPC, inter alia placing on record that the High Court, under the provisions of section 115, should direct that money should be paid over forthwith, and the remaining property, they should be undertaking recorded. So the High Court passed this order ex parte without notice to the other side. So when the order was passed, the original defendant, the landowner, moved the Supreme Court, stating that here the High Court committed gross abuse of the jurisdictional error. It has no, the matter is pending before a district court for adjudication. You could not have said that the entire money be paid over. If money is paid over, it becomes infructuous, my proceedings. So that is in that light here, the Supreme Court held that here, the relevant paragraph I'll point out to you, where it said that, yes. Now, paragraph number 11, you can see that. Yeah, it seems that at this stage of preliminary hearing, the attention of the High Court was not drawn to the fact that the court proceeded to make an order virtually and in fact reversing the judicial order made by the additional district judge in favor of the appellant. That could more appropriately be done only on appeal revision from the order and after notice to the party affecting, and not on the application in the 151, 141. Such an application, the circumstances was misconceived. The ex parte order is thus unsustainable and must be set aside. Okay, that is the crux of the case here. So when the suit itself is pending, when the suit itself is pending, it is not open for the High Court under the provisions of section 115 to entertain the revision application. This is a very old judgment which has passed. Okay, this is that the High Court said there is no material irregularity because that is one of the requirement. Then I will come to you now. In what cases the revision can be invoked and the revisional court is justified in entertaining the revision and passing order when the suit is kept by the learned the trial judge, passing an order that suit is not maintainable and still he does not dismiss the suit and he keeps the suit for recording. Such an issue came up for consideration before the Supreme Court in the case of S.S. Khanna versus Dhillon.
Sir, 10 minutes.
1964 Supreme Court, page number 497. Now here was the dispute between two partners. Now this is also a revisional matter where the revision was entertained by the court, pointing out that the order passed by the trial court was suffering from the vice of illegality and material irregularity. Number one, why this suit was filed for dissolution of the partnership firm. There was earlier agreement between the A and B, that is Mr. Khanna and Dhillon, that the partnership firm should be dissolved. That agreement, for giving effect to the agreement, they filed the suit. The suit was pending in the civil judge before the senior division somewhere in Delhi. The defendant filed a written statement. Inter alia containing that the amount which is claimed by the plaintiff is not a loan. It is in fact pending in the partnership account. It is not payable. So the learned trial judge was of the opinion at the time of the framing of the issues, the suit is not maintainable. He recorded that finding, but he did not pass the decree, nor he did not dismiss the suit. The suit was kept pending. Now, in that scenario, when the order was passed, because the judge has expressed his opinion that the suit is not maintainable, and there is no point in keeping the suit with him then. He should have dismissed the suit or pass a decree. Having not done so and said that I will record evidence. That procedure was challenged by the defendant by filing a revision application. Then see what does the Supreme Court says in the first note. Case decided by interlocutory order, suit held not maintainable. It is the case decided in which no appeal lies, means appeal lies from the order directing, not an appeal lies in the order. Now, when you see the paragraph number 7 of the judgment, Now the main finding is recorded by the yes. If you got the head note, Mansi, can you open this? That is, the court said that here code, the power of the High Court under section 115 is exercisable in respect of any case which has been decided. The expression case is not defined in the code nor in the General Clauses Act. It is undoubtedly not restricted to litigation in the nature of a suit in a suit. It includes a proceeding in a suit in which the jurisdiction of the court is invoked for the determination of a claim or right. Now here the Supreme Court said that here the High Court rightly passed an order in revision because by virtue of the impugn order of the trial court, the suit itself stands disposed of. So when you break up the plea that the suit is not maintainable, that is probably on account of jurisdictional error. Probably the court was under the impression, the Supreme Court took the view that when the court is having jurisdiction and refusing to exercise jurisdiction, and that the revision is applicable. So here the suit is automatically disposed of, hence revision was entertained and held maintainable on the third count in the section 115. That is, it suffers from the vice of illegality and material irregularity. That it is order is illegal and suffers from the vice of illegality. Now I want to give you some of the illustrations. Now in what cases? Now write down here. Now for invoking the revisional jurisdiction, we learned now where the order is appealable, no revision lies. Now the second circumstances in which the appeal can be entertained is where the subordinate court has exercised jurisdiction not vested in it by law. This is the first clause of section 115, and some of the illustration I want to give when this can be invoked here. So where the subordinate court has jurisdiction to entertain not vested by them. Subordinate court has exercised jurisdiction not vested in it by law.
Sorry to
Now,
interrupt.
for example,
3 minutes.
for example, okay, pardon, can you hear me? Pardon?
Sorry to interrupt, sir. 3 minutes are left.
3 minutes. Anybody has any question so far on these judgments which we quoted? Yeah, if nobody has any question now, I will, can you hear me? Now I will give you some of the illustrations where the subordinate court has exercised jurisdiction not vested in it by law. Now, in the city of Mumbai, the Court of Small Causes Court is a civil court. Under section 19 of the Small Causes Court Act, we know that certain suits are not triable by the court, namely a partition suit, preemption suit, and mortgage suits, suit for specific performance. Suppose a tenant has filed a suit for specific performance of a contract against the landlord, a landlord stating that the landlord agreed to sell me this property. Probably being under the impression that under section 33, the Small Causes Court can pass. Now, we learned under section 19 of the Presidency Small Cause Court Act, suit for specific performance is not maintainable in the Small Cause Court Bombay. If the Small Causes Court entertains a suit under suit for specific performance, the court had no jurisdiction. It has entertained the suit. So the defendant can move the revisional court, that is as High Court under section 115, that this court has no jurisdiction and entertaining the suit be disposed. So under 115 clause A, the court can pass the order. Now similarly, take for example, the City Civil Court Bombay entertains a suit for eviction of a tenant, which suit is not maintainable before him. Such a suit would lie before the rent control legislation. So the City Civil Court Bombay, being a civil court, cannot exercise jurisdiction under the Rent Control Act. So when a suit is filed, you can come up, the other side can make an application that the suit is not maintainable. Rejected, come before the High Court under 115. So the court is having no jurisdiction. There is no point in trying. So such a matter that you come under this. So the order must be of such a nature, it has the effect of disposing of the suit. But if the order is kept, if the order is an interlocutory order and the suit is not disposed of, you cannot come in revision. Now, the second illustration. Now,